Good afternoon. I'm Dan DeRose with 19 News Now, coming to you from our digital desk. We've been talking about the wildfires in Canada for a few days now, both here on our digital platforms as well as on air. And today it's really taken a step up as far as a level of concern. That's because the EPA and their forecasting processes have pushed Northeast Ohio into no longer the sensitive group of concern, but now it is unhealthy for all involved. We're not trying to scare you. We want to get you the facts about what's going on. We know there are dozens of wildfires burning uncontrolled in Canada, on the eastern side of Canada. The smoke, because of the jet stream, is being filtered down into our area. I'm going to take this banner down because this isn't just an orange screen. This is going to be hard to believe, but if you look at the bottom of your screen, you can make out a few objects. This is a shot of New York City live right now. This is not video. This is not a still picture. This is what New York City is dealing with today, and potentially what we are going to deal with in Northeast Ohio tomorrow. It all depends on how the atmosphere sets up tonight and where this goes. This map that I've got pulled up here, this is the EPA's system. They measure particulate matter, little particles that are up in the air. Yellow, that's not uncommon in really warm summer months. Orange is when we're up to 95 and 100 degrees. That's when it moves to that sensitive group. We have seen orange in Northeast Ohio twice this week because of the fires, but it's when you get into red, purple, and maroon that it becomes a level of concern. You can see New York City's. I'm going to put this into motion here. This is Tuesday at noon. This is 24 hours ago. Watch what happens as it comes closer and closer. New York City into that purple and red area. Northeast Ohio into the red area. Here we are at 8 o'clock this morning, 10 o'clock and noon. I'm going to get you back to noon today. Look at what is that maroon area. That dark purple is what is centered over parts of New York, which is why it looks like this. Again, this is not to alarm anyone, but let's think about our health and our safety. We're going to bring in Dr. David Rosenberg. He is a pulmonologist, that is a lung doctor with University Hospitals. Dr. Rosenberg, thank you very much for joining us. How are you today?
Oh, I'm fine. You're quite welcome.
Let's talk about this for Northeast Ohio. You're here. Were you able to smell the smoke this morning when you were headed to work potentially?
I didn't this morning, but other people have told me that they did.
Yeah, it's and speaking with our meteorologists, what we've been dealing with so far this week is the smoke has been in our upper atmosphere, and that's why it just looked hazy. Today, it has been pushed down to the ground level. That's why we were able to smell this. Doctor, from your perspective, who needs to be concerned when we see the EPA level take Northeast Ohio from yellow to orange and now to red? What do we need to know?
Well, everybody has to be concerned because when it gets to this level, everybody is adversely affected. I mean, there are certain groups that are particularly sensitive to pollution. And the pollution in general and small particles, because all the haze that you outlined, it contains very small particles, 2.5 microns, and these particles are particularly dangerous because they can enter the breathing passages. Particles that are 10 microns or higher, we can block them out from our nose and throat. But when they're 2.5, and what you showed contains a lot of that gets deep into the lungs. And the individuals that are particularly susceptible are children, older adults, and individuals with COPD and asthma. So that group has to be particularly concerned. But with the levels you're talking about, everybody has to be concerned because they can cause inflammation in your airways and cause a lot of problems.
So let's talk about just the average public. How am I going to notice? What's going to start to happen to me? Watery eyes, cough. Walk us through, how will I notice if I'm outside today, tomorrow, when maybe I should go back inside? What's going to start to happen?
Well, the body has certain receptors in your eyes and your nose. So your eyes can start feeling irritated. They can start watering. your nose can be irritated. So if you sense that, you got to get inside and get away from this stuff. And that's key is being inside, close the doors, use air conditioning. If you have to be outside, obviously, an N95 mask would be important to wear.
You bring up a good point there, closing windows and turning on the air conditioning. Is that what we should be doing? I know it's only 70, it's actually 68 degrees outside. Hard to believe that maybe the advice is closing the windows.
Yeah, be closing the windows and try and prevent outside air from coming in. And usually, if you can, use your air conditioning on a not recirculating air inside and not drawing in air from the outside. And that would be key. Changing your filters on your air conditioning system if that's if they haven't been changed. So that's all critical.
Walk us through maybe one more time. We're speaking with Dr. David Rosenberg. He's a pulmonologist with University Hospitals. When it gets to this level, what do you want people to know, and what are the signs? And give us sort of the overall what we should be looking for, not just today, but thinking about tomorrow could be worse than today.
Well, the first is the signs of irritation, runny eyes and runny nose irritation, throat irritation, and for sure, if you start coughing, if you have respiratory problems, for sure, without question, you have to get out of the outside air because your asthma could get worse, your COPD could get worse, and children shouldn't play outside. I mean, children are particularly susceptible to these small particles, and they can have major problems too. And older adults, don't forget the older adults.
Why is that with children? What is it about children that maybe makes them more susceptible?
The lungs have not fully developed when you're younger. In fact, it takes up to around 20 or 22 years of age for the lungs to be fully developed. So when they're continuing to be developed and growing, they're particularly susceptible to irritants and pollutants.
Working outside, yard work, exercising outside. Your advice to people: put it off for a few days. We need a good rain.
Definitely put it off, because when you're exercising, when you're doing work, you're ventilating, you're moving more air in and out of your lungs. And if you have to do that, guess what? All those particles are going to get into your lungs. So please avoid that kind of thing.
Dr. Husbands all over Northeast Ohio are applauding you. You just gave them an excuse to get out of yard work for a couple of days. Anything else you'd like to add on the subject and what we need to keep an eye on?
No, just be cautious. And if you have underlying medical conditions and you start having problems, check with your physician and ask them what to do.
Dr. David Rosenberg with University Hospitals. We certainly appreciate the time. Thanks for your expertise.
You're welcome. All
right, take care. Again, folks, this is not an attempt to scare you. This is just knowledge is power. We want you to hear from the experts. Dr. Rosenberg there, a pulmonologist, a lung physician. He knows best. We need to be watching out for the next couple of days. When we show you an image like this, I can't get over this. Again, this is not just an orange screen. This is a live look. Granted, it's from a distance. I'm going to show you Cleveland. Cleveland, our haze has gotten quite a bit clearer throughout the morning. We expect, based on the EPA and based on our meteorologists that have been showing us the future cast, we expect it to get a little bit worse this afternoon, and then tomorrow we could be dealing with, yikes, this. Look in the bottom of your screen there. If you can see it, you can make out just a couple of buildings there in New York City, but that is what they are dealing with. We are talking eye irritation, lung irritation. It's just one of those areas that we all need to be a little bit careful of. If we have any other information, we will bring it to you here on our digital properties. If we have breaking news, it'll also be here. Remember, our 3.5 hours of news starts at 3 o'clock. Until then, I'm Dan DeRose with 19 News Now. Have a great afternoon.
19 News is everywhere. Download our CTV apps and follow us on social media at Cleveland 19 News.